A very good morning, students. Dr. Sangamita Das. In this particular video, we will be talking about international marketing research. So, actually, what is research? Research means when you do a search again, that is to gain more and more knowledge. So, before entering into the international market, it is very much necessary for the international marketers to do a thorough research. Otherwise, they can land into a failure. So, in this particular video, we'll be talking about the various importance of problem definition in international research, the problem of availability and use of secondary data, the sources of secondary data, quantitative and qualitative research methods, multicultural sampling and its problems in less developed countries, and using international marketing research. So, if we say that today is the environment in modern business arena is highly uncertain and it is rapidly changing. Expansion of business operations from home country towards other countries is making the uncertainty more permanent and stronger. So this may be due to the political factors, maybe due to the cultural factors. This may be due to the cultural and legal differences also. So this makes very necessary or it is very critical for management to keep abreast with the changes and to collect timely and pertinent information to adapt strategy and market tactics in expanding local markets. As a consequence, international marketing research becomes essential for effective decision making when organizations start to internationalize towards foreign markets. So, what is marketing research? According to American Marketing Association, marketing research is the systematic gathering, recording, and analyzing of data about problems relating to the marketing of goods and services. International market research is a particular discipline of market research which focuses on certain geographical areas. What are the various factors actually? The main factors which influence the marketing research in different countries are the first one is the cultural difference. Culture mostly refers to the widely shared norms or patterns of behavior of a large group of people. There are examples of cultural blunders in the marketing mix. Like, for example, a product which was launched in Saudi Arabia with and it had the product had the mark of a star, and the people of Saudi Arabia refused to purchase it because star for them meant which is something which is related to Israel. Then there are differences in prices also, in places also. For example, in case of place, a company wanted to enter the Spanish market with 2-liter drink bottles and failed over there. After a thorough research, they found out that the Spaniards prefer small door fridges and they could not put the large bottles into them. The same happened with promotion in regarding with Pepsi also. So it is very much necessary that while you are entering into the international market, you do a thorough research before entering the international market. Then there are racial differences also. The racial difference actually refers to the differences in physical features of people in the different countries. For example, the type of hair, the cut of the hair, the cosmetic products differ greatly in various countries. Then you also have climatic differences, economic differences are there, religious differences are there, historical differences are there, linguistic differences are also there. So before entering in the phase of international marketing, if we wish to enter into other country, it is very much different, it is very much necessary that to study all the factors which actually affect the marketing of a product in that particular country. Now we talk about the various process of marketing research. The first one is that the first point in this is that you have to identify the problem. Identifying the problem is the main thing. That is, you have to define the problem. It is the first step of international marketing research process and it is very crucial. It has to be as precise as possible. It may include factors like deciding whether to remain in the domestic market or enter into the international market, product identification for international market, deciding international markets for entry, deciding upon the mode of entry into international markets, decisions related to international marketing mix, decisions for implementing and controlling the strategic international marketing plans. So these are the various areas in which you have to identify where is the problem lying. The second point, that is the second step, is that decide the research methodology. So in deciding the research methodology, you have to understand what are the various marketing mix decisions in that particular field. For example, the product policy. If you wish to take a decision regarding the product policy, the type of research that you have to do is that you have to do a study on focus group and qualitative research to generate ideas for new products. You have to do a survey research to evaluate new product ideas. It can be concept testing or test marketing. It can be product benefit and attitude research. It can be product formulation and feature testing. In case you have to take a decision regarding the pricing distribution, so you have to do a research of pricing sensitivity studies. If you wish to take a decision regarding distribution, then you have to do a research of survey of shopping patterns and behavior of the consumers' attitude towards different store types, the survey of distributed attitudes and policies. In case you wish to take a decision regarding advertising, then you have to do a pre-testing or you have to do a research on advertising pre-testing. In case you have to take a marketing decision on advertising post testing and recall scores, so it is necessary to do a research on surveys of media habits. So these are the various areas where you have to do a research in case you want to enter into the international market. Now you come to the step number 3, that is working out information requirement. So once you have identified the problem and the methodology is decided for the market research, detailed information requirement needs to be worked out. It helps in identifying information sources and and compilation of information. So the basic information requirement for international marketing research may be that you have to take the decision regarding whether to operate in domestic market or international markets, whether you have to estimate the market size, you have to see the total sales in the market, maybe what was the sales in the last 3 years, what is the growth rate, what can be the projected sales, what is the total import of that product into the country, what are the sources of imports by the country, what is the share of each country. So in this way you'll be able to estimate the market size. Next, you have to assess the market if it is accessible or not. So you have to study about the import policy, the control mechanisms. You have to understand the import licensing, with how much it is banned or restricted or it is open. Then you have to understand the tariff regime like ad valorem taxes, specified if it is specific or if it is mixed. Then what is the MFN status, that is the most favored nation status. What is the basis for duty valuation? After that, once it is done, you have to see that what are the various criteria for market selection, what are the various tariff barriers, what are the various non-tariff barriers, what is the cultural affinity, what is the logistics. Once market selection decision is taken, then you have to look into the marketing, international marketing mix decision, that what is the competition analysis. You have to understand the consumer behavior to understand the pricing strategy and the exchange rate. Then you have to, so these are the various arena where the information has to be gathered before you enter into the international market. The next is identifying the sources of information. So, secondary information also plays an important role in international marketing research. Since carrying out overseas field surveys involves considerable cost and time, the secondary information results into a considerable saving in cost and time. So, besides, there may be situations when conducting field survey is either difficult or not feasible due to the resources constraint of a firm. A research in such a case has to heavily rely upon secondary data. At times, the secondary data related to marketing estimation, competitors, turnover, and profit, etc., may be more reliable than the data collected through independent market research. So, often the secondary data related to countries' business environment, market estimation, regulatory framework, tariffs and taxation, etc., may be more reliable than what a firm can obtain through independent research. So specific data from secondary sources may also be obtained from outside agencies in lieu of payment. So major desk research source of international marketing information has to be gathered, but it can be gathered through import statistics, from the production statistics, from the tariff and quotas, from the currency restrictions. So from these you can have an information about the secondary data. But there are various limitations also of secondary data. That means the major limitation of secondary data is like availability, reliability, comparability, and validity. So, what is availability? The kind of secondary data that is needed for marketing decisions at times may not be available for all countries. So, generally, availability of detailed secondary data is directly proportional to the state of economic development in a particular country. For example, in countries such as Japan, USA, Singapore, and in some European countries, Comprehensive market data are available on wholesalers, retailers, manufacturers, and traders, which is hardly available in many developing and least developed countries. Then, if we talk about reliability, so in order to take market decisions confidentially, the information needs to be accurate and reliable. However, it is observed that the secondary data available from various agencies is influenced by various environmental and cultural factors in the country. For instance, the data collected by revenue and taxation authorities understate the sales and profitability figures due to fear of increased incidence of taxation. So whatever data is you're being collected, so it becomes necessary to see that it is reliable or not. Further, the secondary data available at times may not be updated, which requires additional collection of primary data. Then, if we talk about comparability, the data collected from secondary sources by various agencies across nations may not be comparable depending upon the methodology used in data collection. For instance, there is a wide variation in trade statistics collected by various agencies within a city, such as by the Director General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics and the Reserve Bank of India, mainly due to the different methods used in data collection. Besides differences in classification of various terminologies, like consumer classification, also contribute to difficulties in comparison of cross-country research data. Then you have to check its validity also. The secondary data collected from two sources should be consistent for assessing validity of the data. The validity of data depends on a number of factors, including the following: who collected the data, for what purpose was the data collected, how was the data collected, are the data internally inconsistent and logically in light of known data sources of market factors. So, in case of secondary data, all these things have to be kept in mind while you are collecting the secondary data. So, thus, we talked about the various limitations that can be faced while you're collecting the secondary data. Now, we talk about the next step, that is the preparing the research design. So, research design is a specification of methods and procedures for acquiring the information needed to structure or solve the problem. It is the arrangement of conditions for collection and analysis of data in a manner that aims to combine relevance of research purpose with economy in procedures. Thus, research design is the conceptual nature. Thus, we can say that research design is the conceptual structure within which research is conducted. It constitutes the blueprint for the collection, measurement, and analysis of data. It includes an outline of what the researcher will do, from writing the hypothesis and operational implications to the final analysis of the data. So, if we talk about the various types of research design, the various types of research design, the first one is exploratory research design. This type of marketing research is conducted to gather preliminary information to help define problems and suggest hypotheses in a better way. It is used when one is seeking insight into the general nature of a problem, the possible research alternatives, and relevant variables that need to be considered. Descriptive research design. This kind of marketing research is carried out to better describe marketing problems, situations, or markets, such as the market potential for a product or the demographic and attitudes of consumers. It is used to provide accurate snapshots some aspects of the market environment. Now, if we talk about causative research, this type of marketing research is conducted to test the hypothesis and to establish a cause and effect relationship between the variables. It is widely used to identify interrelationship among various constituents of marketing strategy. Therefore, the results under the causative research are ambiguous, unambiguous, and often sought for in the research. Next, we talk about the collecting primary information. So, the information collected by the researcher for the first time is termed as primary information. Although it is comparatively costlier to collect primary data in comparison to secondary research, it is important to get information specific to the research project. However, in view of the much higher cost and complexity involved in collecting primary data, the researcher should first collect as much secondary information as feasible, and identify the information gaps. Such information gaps may be filled up by collecting primary information. Further, the cost benefit analysis of collecting primary information should also be carried out. Firms operating internationally also collect primary information on a regular basis for monitoring their marketing strategy. Primary information may be collected by conducting field surveys, observations, or conducting experiments. Various tools used to conduct field survey include telephone interviews, mail surveys, electronic surveys, and personal survey. So let us talk about the types of field survey. So the types of field survey, the first one is telephonic interview. So with an advent of telecommunication, conducting interviews telephonically is a cost-effective alternative to personal field survey in international markets. However, the level of penetration of telephone varies widely across the countries. So it depends on which country you're going to do a market research. So although the number of mobile subscribers has also increased rapidly in recent years, but still there are many countries which are actually not covered by information technology. So it has to be taken care that wherever, therefore, like service on mobile becomes very effective in India, especially for most of the products that are marketed. Moreover, the target market segments in most countries for a large number of products marketed internationally is in the form of market clusters where telephonic and mobile interviews can be conducted. So, however, cultural factors also influence the willingness of the respondents to participate in telephonic interviews. For example, in telephonic interviews are very popular in Netherlands, which tops the list of countries with the highest number of personal interviews, while Germans have a lot of issues against telephonic interviews. In a number of countries, the number of unlisted telephones is high, making it very difficult for an international marketer to approach the target population. In case of cellular phones or cellular mobiles, published directories are generally not available, and the issue of breach of privacy is also involved. Next, we talk about mail surveys. Under this method, a questionnaire is actually mailed to the respondents who fill in the questionnaire and mail it back. So, a researcher has to obtain a mailing list and use a sampling technique for selecting the mailing address. So, the interviews are commonly used in countries where the literacy rate is very high and the postal system is well developed. Mail interviews are very common in countries such as Finland, Japan, Switzerland, Singapore, whereas postal system is highly efficient. The postal system is hardly reliable in countries such as Venezuela, Nigeria, and Philippines, where mail surveys are difficult to use. Next, we talk about electronic surveys. With the development of information and computer technology, the use of electronic survey has increased also by leaps and bounds in the last decade. With a large-scale mobile penetration and cyber cafe revolution in India, internet has touched the lives of a greater number of people. So business and institutional surveys are actually gaining popularity even in the developing countries. The sample surveyed may not be representative of the population and may lead to faulty inferences. Therefore, due care should be taken while selecting a sample for an electronic survey. Electronic survey are cost effective and are very quick. Next, we talk about personal surveys. Interviewing the respondents personally is not only the costliest but also the most flexible method of obtaining information. Besides, the incidence of non response is negligible, as in the case of other mailing methods. An interviewer also has an opportunity to clarify any doubts with the respondents. A researcher has to make thorough penetration well in advance for field visits and get himself sensitized to the socio-cultural behavior of the respondents, which has already been discussed in detail in this chapter. So, the benefits and limitations of the methods have been we have to, is actually self-explanatory. So, if we now we talk about the next step in international marketing research, that is the analysis of information. And although the data analysis techniques in international market research remain similar to that of that in, done in the domestic market, they depend upon the nature of the problem and the type used in domestic and the type of data. Mostly univariate techniques such as cross tabulation and t-test and multivariate techniques such as analysis of variance, discriminant analysis, conjoint analysis, factor analysis, cluster analysis, and multidimensional scaling can be used. However, researchers should check the multi-country data for various equivalences, as explained earlier. Now, if we talk about evaluation and interpretation. So, based on data analysis, the research results should be evaluated in view of the equivalences and constraints in obtaining the cross country information. So, one should also take care to eliminate the influence of self preference criteria while interpreting and presenting the research findings. The various challenges that a marketer faces while he is doing an international market research is a researcher should be aware of the challenges for carrying out international marketing research with meaningful outcomes, Some of these are as follows: overlooking the cross cultural marketing behavior, employing standardized research methodologies across the international markets, using English as a standard language for market communication, inappropriate sample selection, misinterpretation of cross country data, failure to use locals to conduct field surveys. So, adequate measures should be taken to address these issues while conducting international marketing research. A cross cultural profile of consumers in international market plays a significant role in market behavior. So, these are the various things that a marketer must keep in mind while he is trying to enter into the international market. So, the cross cultural marketing behavior and research also has to be taken care of. So, a researcher conducting cross country survey needs to appreciate the variations in cultural behavior of respondents and consumers in overseas market. These cultural aspects need to be examined while preparing the international marketing research plan. So a firm operating in the international market comes across different types of socio-cultural variations that influence its market mix decisions. However, the problem identification in international market is influenced by the marketer's self-reference criteria, so which is an unconscious reference to one's old cultural values, experiences, and knowledge as a basis for decision making. Thus, one's own cultural background often influences the decision making and interpretation of market research problem while conducting cross-cultural country research. For example, it is difficult for a Japanese consumer to say no. Rather, Japanese consumer use more subtle expression for indicating their disagreement. Therefore, research conducted in Japanese market can be misleading at times. A four-step approach may be used to eliminate self-reference criteria, which consists of the following: like defining the market research problem in the home countries, trade habits and norms, defining the problem in the target markets, cultural values, habits and norms without any value judgment, isolating the influence of self reference criteria in the research problem and carefully examining its impact in complicating the problem, redefining the research problem without the self reference criteria. So, all these things have to be done when you're conducting an international marketing research. Thus, we can summarize that a firm which is desirous of entering international markets need to carry out market research to assess the feasibility of its products in the overseas markets and to map and analyze the market dynamics in target markets. So, in research carried out across the national borders involving different cultures and countries has been referred to as international market research. Major challenges while conducting international market research include overlooking the cross cultural market behavior, inappropriate sample selection, and misinterpretation of cross country data. So, the cultural traits influence the marketing research process at all stages and influences significantly the cross country market behavior, which needs to be understood. The process for international marketing research involves problem identification, deciding research methodology, working out information requirements, identifying sources of information, preparing the research design, collecting the primary information, analysis, evaluation, and interpretation. So, whether a particular study is understood and interpreted in the same manner in various countries refers to equivalences in international marketing research. So, the major types of equivalences in international marketing research include construct, measurement, data collection, and analysis. So, all these things have to be kept in mind while you are conducting an international marketing research, and on the basis of the results only, it will be a wide decision to enter into the international market. So, all these things have to be kept in mind while you are conducting an international market research. Okay, students. So for today, this is from all from my side. We'll meet in the next session. Thank you.